Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan Little. With any luck at all, the internet will work. If you all can hear me, please let me know, and we will get started. Internet has not been kind to me over the last few days, but hey, that's okay. I don't mind. You don't always get the internet that you want. You get the internet that you deserve. Everyone knows this. Says we're connected. Says we're not dropping any frames. It's funny because Facebook was barely loading for me just a second ago, but I figured we'd give it a whirl because you never know what's going to happen. It looks like I'm under the sea on this camera. This is the right camera, right? Why does it look like I'm under the sea? The room's blue. Really, the room is not that blue. It looks more realistic on Instagram. Hope everyone's having a great morning. We are at Baha Mar. I knew what Baha Mar meant and now I forgot it. It's what happens when you stay up too late. Speaking of staying up too late, today we're going to talk about travel tips. Because I'm traveling, and I've been traveling a lot, and I know a decent amount about how to do well when traveling, and I also know how to shoot yourself in the foot while traveling. Why are your chat not coming up? There we go. So, let's first talk about things that I definitely recommend that you do. So, first things first, you're going to the airport. Make sure you have your travel documents. It's very, very important, vitally important that you take your passport. Only one time. I was going to Barcelona to play a tournament, and the way they often structured is they have their high rollers first. So I was going to arrive the day before the tournament, we'd be good to go. I get to the airport, and I don't have my passport. Talk about a bummer. Well, I arrived to the airport about 2 hours early, but I lived in New York City then, and I could not get back home and back to the airport in 2 hours. So, I missed my flight. It's not playing very well, huh? So, you don't want to do that. It's vitally important that you have your travel documents. It's not that hard to do. An easy way to remember everything is to make a list. My wife does this. She's very good at making lists when it comes to packing. I don't make a list at all. I get packed in about 5 minutes. If I cared more, I would make a list. And in reality, you can make the same list every time, and even just have things that you mark off. Like say, you're going to the Bahamas, you don't need a heavy jacket, right? Or if you're going to Canada, you probably don't need a swimsuit unless you're going to swim in the pool at the hotel. So you can put bathing suit on the list, but then just mark it out. She does this every time she goes on a trip, and she never forgets anything. Who'd have thought? I sporadically forget stuff. But for the most part, I realize it doesn't really matter. Like, I would rather get packed in 10 minutes than get packed in 2 hours going through and, making sure I have the right outfits put together, making sure I have an umbrella, all these things. Because usually you can often buy it, right? So, that's the first thing you want to do is make sure you pack correctly and take the right things to the airport. Try to arrive to the airport early. Arriving to the airport early, I think, it's free. It's not hard. It's free. You just show up early and you're good to go. You can I definitely suggest you get a credit card that allows you access to airport lounges if you go to the airport frequently. So I have an Amex Platinum card, I think is what it's called. And basically it lets you into any Delta lounge if you're flying on Delta, any Amex lounge, and also any of the Priority Pass lounges, which pretty much means in almost every airport, there will be a lounge available for you. Now, some lounges are good, some are not so good. Like the Amex lounges, particularly, are very good. They're called the Centurion lounges. It's basically like a private club. So what happens is you go in, you show them your card, and then they just have a full buffet, open bar, TVs, magazines, newspapers, workstations, whatever you need. Others are not so nice. They'll give you a bottle of water. I'm trying to think of the worst lounge I've ever been to. I don't quite remember where it was, but basically they gave you a bottle of water and two biscotti cookies. Two biscottis, like little tiny cookie things. And that was it. And it was not nice. You were all crammed next to each other. Often these credit cards do charge you something per year. Like, I think the Amex card is $400 per year. If you're smart, you can figure out ways to get it down. My friends and I figured out a way to get it down to about $200 a year. And obviously you don't actually run up credit on your credit card. You pay it off immediately, and then you just straight up get perks. Also, you get 1.5% cash back or whatever it is, which is pretty good. It works mostly everywhere worldwide, so that's good. So that's very valuable for enjoying your time at the airport, because you don't want to be at the airport for 7 hours when you get stranded, which you inevitably will. And that'll just be beneficial, right? Also, at the airport, something very important, I think, is you try to travel direct flights. Anytime you have to stop in between, that causes the chance for you to be delayed significantly. So you want to take the minimum number of flights. Sometimes direct flights are cheaper. Usually they are, but sometimes they're not. There have been times where let's say all the direct flights, I always fly coach whenever I can. We'll talk about that in a minute. I always fly coach whenever I'm traveling. So I typically fly coach whenever I'm traveling. But let's say all the coach flights are booked in a one-way trip. So the only options are, let's say, a $300 stop with flights. I'm sorry, a $300 flight with stops, or a $500 business or first class flight direct. I'll just take the direct one then. I think it's probably worth the $200. I typically do fly coach because I'm not filthy rich yet. Once you are filthy rich, or even kind of rich, I think business class and first class becomes a very valuable thing, especially if you're flying a lot. That said, if you're flying a lot, it becomes very expensive, right? So in that situation, you're trading dollars for comfort. And it really is just straight comfort. I don't work very well on the airplane. My computer's very big. It takes up a seat and a half. I don't know. I'm not very good at working on the airplane. So in general, I do not work on the plane. So if I'm not working so much on the plane, then I don't really need a comfortable setup. I usually just lay back and take a nap, or maybe I'll watch something on my iPad. Everyone who's asking questions not related to travel, or exactly what we're talking about at the moment, realize we're not going to answer these questions. Today we're talking about travel tips. How do you get the best deals for a hotel? We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to hotels in just a second. So that's how you get to where you're going. Now, I guess we might as well talk about the hotel deals. Well, the Delta Lounge, you have to be flying Delta? Yes. So you fly Delta. You know that Delta lounges give you if you fly Delta, you get access to their lounges. That's a reason to fly on Delta. If you fly on the same airline a lot, then, maybe that's the thing. I have found that typically doesn't work out for the amount that I travel, and I travel a pretty good amount. Like, some people fly only on United or only on JetBlue or whatever, so they get access to their lounges. But you have to fly a lot on exactly that flight, and it's good if they go to all the places you go to, but they don't go to all the places that I go to. Sometimes they go to some place, and sometimes they don't. So I end up getting, just enough to get the minimum reward points on all the airlines, which would be enough to get a very good reward status on one airline, but I don't fly to the same places all the time. So it's something that I have found that just does not work out so well for me. Am I in the Bahamas? I am. Hello from Romania and from Hong Kong. Hello, good morning. Glad you all are here. Let's talk about what you take. If you check bags, pack some things in your carry-on just in case your luggage gets delayed or lost. Yeah, that's relevant. I typically don't do it. I have never had luggage get lost. But then again, I always show up on time, and my bags are clearly marked. No one's ran off and stole my bag yet, so that's good. So I don't pack much in my bag beyond... so whenever I'm traveling, I have a backpack that I travel with my computer in it. I don't put my computer in my luggage. Don't do that. I put my computer in it. I have some magazines, usually Card Player magazine, that I go through and I read things I'd like to read. Some water, some food. That's pretty much all I put in my travel bag. Do I have travel credit cards? Not specifically, not dedicated travel credit cards. Most of the time, those work out to give you 1.5% to 2% cash back. And my card gives me 1.5% cash back for exactly everything I want. So I don't think it's worth the hassle of having multiple cards. Sometimes your flight gets delayed and your luggage does not. I mean, maybe I've never had a problem. I'm telling you, I've literally never had a problem. Maybe, Kevin, you have had a problem? But yeah, Amex Platinum card is what I have. Okay, hotels. How do we get good deals on hotels? I typically travel only to play poker, okay? That means I'm going to a casino or a venue to play poker. The venues essentially always offer some sort of poker rate. Poker rate is usually not incredibly cheap, but it's reasonable. Like in Montreal, I think it was $160 a night for a hotel that's normally $350 a night. No, it's not bad. If you want to be really, really nitty about this, you can do all sorts of stuff. Some people used to, I know a few poker pros used to sleep in their car. They drive everywhere and then sleep in their car. They did not value time or comfort because they had no money. When you have no money, you have to make sacrifices. Some people will look for really, really cheap hotels, or they'll stay in hostels. That's what some people do if they do not want to spend money. I'm at the point in my life where I don't mind spending money on a hotel. Kind of like a lot of people get to the point in their life where they don't mind spending money on first-class flights. Right? It all depends on the level of comfort that you want. You may also ask if you want to share rooms with people. I typically don't like sharing rooms with people when possible, but I do think that you can gain a lot from sharing rooms with people. First off, the rooms are cheaper, right? The cost is cut in half. And also, you get to talk with people. Some people like that, some people don't. I like my peace and quiet. I like to be able to do exactly what I want, and it's very useful to me. Airbnb is quite good. You're going to usually find that Airbnb places are not as nice as hotels, at least the hotels that I stay at. And I'm not saying it fancy hotels or anything. I want to make that clear. I'm saying it the hotel the casino suggests you stay at most of the time. But there are some places where I essentially always stay in the hotel, or I always stay in Airbnb because the hotels are too expensive. An example of this is Barcelona. Whenever I go there, they have the tournament at the Hotel de Arts, which is apparently very fancy, very expensive, like 500 euros a night. Poker rate's like 400 euros. And I'm not paying that. So I'll stay at Airbnb down the beach. It's usually not as nice. You have to deal with a few things like buying groceries and whatnot because there's not just food immediately available. But it's fine, right? So Airbnb is definitely a good idea in certain places. I've stayed at Airbnb in the Bahamas before because I didn't like one of the other resorts where they have poker tournaments here. And that was fine. The place was nice, but you had to travel each day to the casino, which is a bit of a hassle, right? It's very important, in my mind, to try to minimize hassle. Hassle is a pain. So if I have to drive 20 minutes to the casino each day through downtown Nassau, and I may get delayed, then it causes friction, right? Kind of like I said, don't take flights with multiple stops. Try to stay near the venue. I don't mean you have to stay at the venue, but stay near the venue. Like in Barcelona, whenever I stayed there, I would stay right down the beach. So I would wake up, walk outside, walk 10 minutes down the beach, I'd be at the casino. So there was like no friction, right? I didn't have to rely on anyone to get me there, like in the Bahamas where I had to rely on a taxi to get me there. And I had to go through downtown, which sporadically had traffic. So try to be smart about that. But there are lots of ways to get cheap hotel rooms. I mean, I used to split rooms 4 ways. I've done that many times whenever I was a young kid. We'd stay in a hotel room with 2 beds. We'd chop it 4 ways, and it would be a mess. But the hotel was almost free. If you gamble a little bit at casinos, a lot of time they will give you free rooms. And what me and a few of my friends would do is we would all have like 5 free nights at a hotel. And we would go, we would gamble hard, and we knew we'd be there the next time for like, let's say a week. We would ask if we could upgrade for a suite for 2 days. So I would stay in my suite 2 days, then we go to the other friend's suite for 2 days, the other friend's suite for 2 days, the other friend's suite for 2 days. And then we have a nice big room, big enough for 4 people. We all had fun, and it worked out. Just realized the fan's on above my head. Instagram can see it. Other people cannot. Sorry, Instagram. You have to. I wish my camera was like right here, but it's not. Is there a way to put my camera right there? We'll figure that out tomorrow. Forgive me. Okay. Now, how to go about getting money to places. Fortunately for all of you now, it's easy. It's easy as can be because the 2 major tournament series, the Party Poker events and the European Poker Tour events, allow you to use your online money on the poker sites to buy into the tournaments. Talk about easy. So, like right now, I'm in the Bahamas for a party poker tournament, the Caribbean Poker Party, and I have like $1,000 on me, like almost no cash, despite buying in for $70,000 worth of tournaments. And it's because I have all my money in my party poker account. You can use that to buy in directly to the tournaments. It makes life so easy. In the past, what you'd have to do is you have to wire your money to the casino, or sometimes not the casino, sometimes to the people who are running the tournament, which may not be the casino, and then use that money to buy into the tournaments. So I know at Baha Mar, if you wanted to wire money here to play cash games or in the casino, you had to wire it to the casino. If you wanted to play tournaments, you had to wire it to the tournament area. Two different cages, right? I don't know why they do that. It's a pain. But that's how it works at a lot of casinos. So don't think that's shocking or surprising. I know one time Daniel Negreanu wired some money to a casino, and he went there purely to play like 100K and a 50K. And he wired his money, got there. They said, you can only use this money to play in the pit, like blackjack. And he's like, are you kidding me? The casino, the tournament was put on by the casino and everything. And that was a pain, right? Are U.S. banks okay with you loading up on Party Poker? No, you have to go about doing it intelligently. D. Nelson, come on. You need to get an overseas bank account. You need to get a Skrill account. You need to go out of the country sometimes. And, for example, the way I recently loaded up money is I sent money to my Skrill account by sending one of my friends money. They're fine with you sending your friends money. So send your friends money who happen to have Party Poker money. Also, you can do things like wiring money to the casino the first time. So, like, say I had no Party Poker money and I wanted Party Poker money. I could wire, let's say, 50K to Baha Mar. And then whenever I cash in a tournament, then you can tell them to put that in your Party Poker account. Like, for example, I didn't have a lot of money in my Party Poker account. I was going to wire money to Baha Mar, but I did well in Canada last week, and I told them just to put it all in my Party Poker account. Is there a maximum amount of account you can carry out, maximum amount of cash you can carry on an airplane? No. That is purely fiction. I mean, you can probably only physically carry, like, what, $10 million? You probably can't carry much more than $10 million physically. But I think the question you're asking is, are there rules? And the rules are, if you're flying in and out of America, you have to declare if you have more than $10,000. And you should declare if you have more than $10,000. Follow the rules that the country that you signed up for set in place. A lot of people don't realize, but you can often leave your country if you don't like it. So anyway, what you can do is you can take your money, say, hello, I have $150,000 in my bag. They'll ask you on a form. Every place you go through, or most places you go through, will give you a customs form. You check I have more than $10,000. And you do that. That said, traveling more than $10,000 is silly. Why would you want to do that? Get a check, get a wire. Don't travel with large amounts of cash. I'm not like opposed to traveling with large amounts of cash, but just like stuff happens. You know, why open the door for your bag to randomly get taken from you, or you walk off and lose your bag? One time in the airport, I had two luggages, and I had a my normal like shoulder bag, and then I also had a small carry-on. It's the first time I ever traveled with a small carry-on. And I went to the restroom, and I just left the small carry-on in the restroom. I was sitting in the airport, just waiting, hanging out to get on my plane, and I realized, oh my God, where's my luggage? So I had to go back and get my luggage. I didn't have any money, and I just had all my clothes. But, just don't open the door for bad things to happen. So, essentially, I mean, I don't think I've ever been in a place where they would not give you a check. You may go to places where they convert your money to not your native currency. That becomes a pain. I haven't really dealt with this in a while. All the online poker sites have good conversion rates, and I've only played in those series over the last 2 or 3 years when I travel overseas, just because I'm going to play in big series. And I haven't had to deal with that because their conversion rates are fair. But if you do end up with a whole pile of money, it's probably best to try to trade with locals at the spot rate. So like in Canada, for example, there were lots of Canadians even looking for Canadian dollars. So I probably even paid 1% to transfer it from Canadian dollars to US dollars. But if I tried harder, I probably could have avoided paying that 1% fee by just getting it all in cash and then trading it in cash to locals. Like right now, there are 2 people who are going to come to the Bahamas, and they're going to give me US dollars, because I gave them Canadian dollars in Canada. Okay, so that's that. We made it here. I guess we're talking about checking luggage. Should you check luggage? If you're traveling for a long time, you should. Whenever you're packing, I suggest you generally travel as light as you can within reason. I know that's kind of difficult to do, to the point that you can get everything in a carry-on if you're going for like a week. But if you're going for 3 or 4 days, a carry-on's fine. I don't really suggest you travel with all sorts of suits and big jackets and all sorts of shoes and whatnot. I usually travel with 2 pairs of shoes, maybe with flip-flops, maybe if I'm going to the Bahamas. And then something like 4 pairs of jeans / pants for, 5 or 6 days. At least I don't think you get your pants that dirty. Then I'll take 2 or 3 dress shirts, one or 2 pairs of dress pants, and enough shirts, plenty of shirts, because your shirts will get dirty. So I'll take lots of shirts. So I think I'm here for 10 days. I think I brought 14 shirts. Don't know why I brought 14 shirts. Actually, I do know why, because you're going to take a shirt, you're going to go down to the beach, you're going to wear it at the beach, and your swimsuit, you're going to come back, your shirt's going to be hot and sweaty or dirty or whatever, and then you're going to need to change shirts sometimes. How about interacting with the locals? I have failed at this for a long time. Whenever I travel, I guess this is important to discuss. Whenever you travel, you have to ask what your priorities are. We discussed priorities a lot so far over the last few little coffees whenever the internet's working. I'm shocked the internet's working, by the way. It was not working very well earlier. But hey, it seems to be working. And in general, whenever I travel, interacting with locals was not my main priority. Yes, wear your underwears as well. I do wear underwears. I take lots of underwears, 14 of them for a 10-day trip. My priority when I go to travel to play poker is to play poker. Whenever I have off days, I will get out and go do things. Especially if the tournament is not at a resort. Like here at Baha Mar, I doubt I'm going to leave the property. Because their property is nice, there's no reason to leave. There's a place called the Fish Fry down the street. I may go there one day. And there's a fancy restaurant called Grey Cliff. I may go there one day. But beyond that, I'm probably not going to leave the resort. But if I go to Barcelona and I'm staying in an Airbnb, well, I'm out and about all the time. Try to learn some phrases in the local dialect, whatever that is. If you're going to Spain, learn a little bit of Spanish. Learn, hola, ¿cómo está? Whatever. You need some water. You'd like a hamburger. Whatever. Learn some basic phrases. You don't have to be perfect. People are going to realize that you're trying, and if you try just a little bit, they'll give you the benefit of the doubt and assume you're not a jerk. I guess I should clarify that. When you go to someone else's country, you should not expect them to know your language. Whatever your language is. If you speak only Spanish, don't come to America and think we're only going to speak Spanish. If you speak English, don't go to Spain and think they're only going to speak English. Right? A lot of people there will not speak your language, and it's up to you, the traveler, to make that work. It's not up to the locals to make it comfortable for you. It's up for you to make your situation work. Now, that may mean not doing a whole lot of talking. If you don't want to do any work, don't do talking, and it's A-okay. Yo quiero un hamburguesa. Sí, señor. So, I think that's important. Realize that it is up to you to fit in, not for them to allow you to fit in. Now, some people will be more hospitable than others, and that's A-okay. I really haven't had any issues with that, though. I've always tried a little bit, or you can point, I would like that hamburger, please, and they'll figure it out. It's important to keep pocket change, by the way, for wherever you're going. Ideally, you don't convert it in the airport because they're going to charge you like $5 and some huge fee, but sometimes you can't do anything about it. Like when I went to Canada recently. Actually, no, I didn't. I'm trying to think if I converted, I think I converted like $200 in the bank. Oh, not in the bank, at the airport, which they probably charged me like $10 to convert $200. But that's okay. Sometimes you got to pay. You have to realize, very often when you're paying for something, you're paying for convenience. And it's okay to pay for convenience. When you pay that $10 to convert $200 from US dollars to Canadian dollars, so you can tip the doorman at the hotel, you're paying for that. I could just not tip the doorman, and I could wait until I get to the casino and get a better rate. But it's like, it's okay. It's okay to give a little bit. People provide you a service. When people provide you a service, don't be opposed to rewarding them for that service. All right, is it worth it to come to the Bahamas just to play 2-5 cash games? I don't even know if they're going to have 2-5 cash games. I presume they will. Actually, I know they will. I was told they would. Last time I came here, I was told they would have cash games. So, is it worth it? Worth it. GG Jordan, or GG Jordan. It's a math problem, right? Do the math. I want you to do the math in the chat. All right. How many hours are you going to play? How much are you going to make per hour? How much are you going to spend on expenses? How much are you going to enjoy being here? Or are you going to pay on flights? How much are you going to pay on food over what you normally pay? etc., etc. Do some math, figure it out. You can be here for 9 days. I presume the cash games will run for 9 days. They may actually only run for like 6 or 7 days because there are going to be a lot of people in some of the main events. You recently won a 500 euro seat to a destination which requires a 4-hour flight and hotel. Your friends say it's not worth going. It's a 200,000 guarantee. Guarantee does not matter. What are my thoughts? Well, how much does it cost for you to go? What's your return on investment going to be? If your return on investment is going to be 30%, that means you're going to make 150 euros. So in theory, you need to spend less than 150 euros to go. If you care about that. Now, you get to go play the tournament. You get to have the experience. You get to gamble. You could run hot. You might enjoy wherever you're going. You know, all that's very valuable, right? Like when you say, is it worth it to come to the Bahamas? Is it worth it to go to Baha Mar? Is it worth it to take a vacation? Maybe. Depends on what you need in your life. Aki says, thanks for the meetup in Montreal. You now have friends here. Very good. You had lots of fun yesterday in a small home game. Aki came and he was a little bit shy, didn't know anyone, and he decided to come to the meetup in Montreal. And he made friends. Everyone there was nice. You have to realize, everyone who likes me tends to be nice. And they all want to help each other. So we tried to figure out ways where he could meet people. He was not from Montreal. He was kind of new in Montreal. And now he has friends. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. I'm glad that you're having a good time. Can you write off travel expenses? You can if you're a professional. If you're a professional, then you can write off expenses. If you're not a professional, you cannot write off expenses. You're a professional when you tell the government you're a professional, for the most part. That typically assumes you don't have any other job related to your profession that brings in money. I'm a professional poker player, even though most of my money does not come from the actual playing of poker anymore. Do I take my family with you to tournaments? I personally do not. Mr. James has never left New York City. Poor little guy. He's 2 years old, never left New York City. Bad beat, huh? My wife has a job. She doesn't get a whole lot of off time. And when she has off time, she doesn't want to go to a tournament where I'm going to be sitting in a poker room all day. She wants our vacations to be vacations, not poker tournaments. Have you played a decent volume of tournaments this year? Oh, no. I knew I wasn't going to play a decent volume of tournaments this year because I had a baby. I knew that I was going to be staying at home. Most of the time, to be a family man, to make work for you all, and to try to benefit the poker world as opposed to get as much money as I possibly can. Fortunately, you all reward me because you like my work. If you didn't like my work, this probably wouldn't all work out so well. But you all like my work, so it works out for me. Never use a laundry service at a hotel. I have a few times whenever I ran out of clothes. If I know I'm going to be gone for a long time, like to the World Series of Poker and for a month, I'll take enough clothes for like 7 days. I've stayed at Palm's Place the last few times, and there's a laundry service right down the street called Flamingo Wash and Fold or Fluff and Fold or something like that. It's pretty cheap. It's like $10 for a whole bag of clothes, and you put your clothes in a bag, you leave them at the concierge, you pick them up that night. It's good to go. Let's see. You hate traveling for poker. Well, some people don't like traveling. Again, you want to do what works for you. What are your priorities? If your priorities are to stay home and you have games at home, do that. If your priorities are to not fly because you hate flying. I know a guy who used to be a high-stakes poker player and he would travel some, but he realized every time he flew, his ears got all screwed up and he didn't like it. It wasn't worth it. So he doesn't travel. Nothing wrong with that. Chris says, we made 2 final tables last night. Good job, good work. You wish I did this 10 years ago. Well, 10 years ago, I was a young, dumb kid. I had to learn from the school of hard knocks myself. Chris says, 3,000 in cashes for 200 buy-ins. Good day. Let's talk about other things you can do to make your travels easier and better. Oh. Funny enough, I haven't fully unpacked yet. Living Fuel Super Greens. Not specifically Living Fuel Super Greens, but Living Fuel Super Greens with a blender bottle. These 2 things will make your life better. Why? Because you can put the Living Fuel in here. It's like this much. It's a powder. And then you can take it with you. You can throw it in your bag. Forget about it. And then you can put water in that and drink it whenever you're hungry or tired or thirsty or whatever. You can also have that in the morning if you wake up and you're a little bit late. I think that is very, very beneficial. Also, bring a bag. Here's my bag. I don't have a whole lot in it yet. What am I going to put in it? I'm going to put that bottle of Living Fuel Super Greens in it. I have this device. This is what normally holds my phone. This allows me to make better videos. What else do I have? I have a cell phone charger. Take a cell phone charger just in case. Ideally, you don't want to be on your cell phone. At Baja Mar, you have to wear a little red wristband to have access to the resort, so make sure you wear your little red wristband. I have a pen. I have some napkins. We have some tea. So, that's what's in my bag. Where's my coffee? My coffee's actually right over there. I didn't make it. I didn't have enough time. Is there cash in the bag? Nope, no cash in the bag. You don't need cash at Baja Mar. One of the benefits of this place. Like I said, all my money's in the party poker account. All right, let's talk about some things you can do to really screw yourself when you're traveling. First, you can not pack right. We discussed that. Next, you cannot have your money in place ahead of time. If you're going overseas, very important, always show up the day before the tournament. Because sometimes your money won't be there. And then you have to figure out how to get a hold of money. Either you need to have the venue tell you where your money is, or you need to get a loan from somebody if that's a thing. Fortunately, if you are in a good spot like me, where people generally know you and respect you, you can get a loan for almost any amount. But if you're new to the game or have a bad reputation or just don't know anyone, you may have a problem with that. So, you need to plan ahead. That often means going a day ahead of time. Not good to put all your eggs in one basket like your party poker account. Well, it's not all of my money. It's nowhere near all of my money, but it's enough money for this trip. And, the site's safe. You all don't know my password. We should be good to go. That said, that's why you don't put all your cash in your bag whenever you walk around. If you go to a hotel and you brought $20,000 in cash with you, you don't take $20,000 in cash with you. But in general, yes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Thank you, Nathan. I did my best in Montreal. We took 8th place. It's almost good. When I was a young kid, I actually did keep all my money in party poker. Funny enough. This is a complete tangent, but I was an 18-year-old kid. I had no expenses. I did not really even need money or want money. And so I played on party poker, and my goal was to get my account as high as I could. That was my goal. If you cash out, your account doesn't go higher, right? It goes down. That's terrible. So, just kept it all in party poker. I started with $50 and ran it up to about $300,000. I think I took my first cash out, and I had like $100,000 in my account. I cashed out $1,000. That's how you grow a bankroll. You need a visa to get in the Bahamas. It depends on where you're from. Not if you're from America, but I do know if you're from a few other places, you do need to get a visa. Has my strategy changed much since I wrote Secrets of Professional Tournament Poker? Some. I've learned a few general tips, strategies, etc. But overall, strategy is roughly the same. What's your party poker password? IDONOTKNOWRIGHTNOW $, hi. Did you get it? Go try. How do you play on party poker while living in New York? Oh, you don't. Don't break the laws of wherever your place is. And to be fair, you're allowed to play on online poker sites from America. You just aren't allowed to play on specific poker sites that do not allow Americans. Party pokers don't allow Americans. Because they don't want to get in trouble with the government. They're a good, reputable company. Unlike companies that operate within America, which are not good, reputable companies. All right. Drake says you can put your money in NetTeller or Skrill. Yeah, you can. But then you have to deal with transferring back and forth and back and forth. Again, you want to minimize friction. When you do anything in life, I think it's vitally important that you want to minimize friction. IVAP, we're not talking about poker right now. We're talking about traveling tips. Okay. Next, whenever you're traveling, it can be expensive. I understand that. A lot of people want to try to get their expenses down, right? So, what can you do to get your expenses down because you care about money? I remember the first time I went to a tournament in the Bahamas, there was a guy who had literally no money. This was before they, like, if you satellited in, now if you satellite in, they'll give you $1,000 for room and food and what, or for specifically food and travel. Back then, they gave you nothing. You want just a seat. So this guy had literally no money to his name, but he was playing a $10,000 buy-in tournament. And he was eating ramen noodles and That was it. Turns out he was nice and met lots of friends, and people would take him out to dinner and stuff. But that was not a good situation. So the sites have learned whenever you use Satellite N, they should give you some money to eat with. Like I know whenever you come to Baja Mar, a $10,000 seat's actually like $8,000 or something like that for room, flight, food, etc. And you know that is a cost of coming to places like this. So in that scenario, you need to figure out ways to eat, right? So we already discussed Living Fuel Super Greens. You can find the cheapest place on the resort to eat. I know at Baja Mar you can get like burger type food for $10, which is not cheap or free, but it is a thing. So you can bring stuff with you. I know one of my friends would bring grilled chicken. He would pre-grill chicken before he leaves. This is a guy who's in very, very good shape. You all probably know him. I'm not going to out him for his traveling habits. He would pre-cook tons and tons of chicken. I room with him in Australia. He came with like 50 chicken breast and a bunch of grilled vegetables. They were like vacuum wrapped up. And that's because he was on a very strict regimen, right? That was his goal, was to eat right. His goal was not necessarily to save money. He was happy to spend money, but his goal was to eat right. And so he would bring effectively a cooler with vacuum wrapped chicken and vegetables. So that's the thing you can do. Your 12-year-old nephew is pretty smart emotionally and problem solving. Any ideas to get him started in poker? Give him some cards and have him play. Teach him. Are my accommodations covered by Party Poker? No, they're not. I did not satellite in on Party Poker. I am coming as a tourist. So I'm coming here to I'm nothing here sponsored by Party Poker. I did come here earlier and I gambled a bit at the casino, and so the casino gave me a good rate on the hotel room because I know casinos in the Caribbean comp you very well because we have experience. And so anyway, yeah, that's what I do. Traveling now to Party Poker events is easy thanks to PP Live dollars. Yeah, and you can just use your Party Poker money to buy in. You don't even need the PP Live dollars. But it's very easy because if you satellite in to a tournament, let's say you wanted to go to Montreal but you couldn't, well, you could come to this one if you wanted to. If you can't afford food on your vacation, you can't afford to go. While that may be true, it's very important to realize sometimes you accidentally win your way into a tournament. Many times, especially online, where sometimes people get confused as to what they're buying in for, they don't realize that they are winning a seat to a $10,000 buy-in tournament, and, they don't have any money. If you have $10,000 sitting in the Bahamas you have to go collect, but you're in Europe, well, you're going to get on a plane and go collect your $10,000. Party Poker should make me the dean of their site. Go tell them that. All right. Let's see. Do we talk about credit miles? We did, and I generally said that I just use a straight cashback card because, again, friction, right? You can maybe get 2% if you do all these special deals where you trade your points for dollars and miles and all this stuff, or you can just get 1.5% and never worry about it in your life. I'd rather get 1.5% and never worry about it in my life. Pretend we have to play online poker for America. Why would I want to do that? Which side would I trust over the others? None of them. I would literally not keep any money in any of the American sites. Everyone knows this. Keep the minimum. And realize that they could take it one day. It's okay. They may take it one day. As long as you know what you're signing up for. But if you start with, let's say, $1,000 and run it up to $50,000, you sure better not have $50,000 on those sites because they may run off with it. What kind of deals do sponsored pros get? I don't know. I'm not a sponsored pro. Maybe one day we'll get there. In general, from what I understand, some people get some buy-ins given. Some people get a straight salary. Some people get help with expenses. Some people get rake back. Depends on the person and what that person wants, I think, and what kind of deal that the sites are giving out. How often do I take actual vacations? Almost never. How do you find player pool tendencies when you travel? Oh, that's a tough one. And it depends. I don't read into player pool tendencies too much. Mainly just because I don't really know, right? If you are a part of my inner circle, you're going to hear me very often say, I don't know what players in your games are doing. That's up to you to figure that out. And I don't know. I realize I don't know, so I'm just going in and playing fundamentally sound poker, and I'm doing my best with it. That is essentially what I am doing. Let's see. You play a certain amount of casino at the casino to get comps. At places where the hotels are expensive, yes. What's the best way to buy into tournaments outside of your state or country if you don't use party poker dollars? Wire the money to the casino. We discussed this earlier. Wire the money to the casino or to the tournament person in charge and go from there. Whenever everyone speculates about what people get for their sponsorship deals, understand that you will almost never know the actual numbers. Quite often these numbers are not public and people have non-disclosure agreements. So everyone who is talking about what they think people are getting are speculating. And speculating with no information, I was going to say, should I say this? Yeah, is not welcome here. If you're speculating with no information, you're not providing value. Now, maybe you do know. If you do know and you have actual good sources, which are not poker tabloids, then, sure. But speculating is a waste of your time and your effort and our time and our effort. I'm the Obi-Wan from episode 1. No speculation there. I do my best. These are not the droids you're looking for. What's the biggest cash games I've played in? I think it was 200, 400, no limit. I've played 200, 400 a lot online in the past. And live 200, 400 as well. Oh, the good old days when money was flowing. Is Bovada a good site to play online? Well, do they operate within America? Are they unregulated in America? Then probably not so good for Americans. But that said, they haven't had too many problems with cashing out yet. Do you have a site where you coach on playing poker? Yes, it's called pokercoaching.com. Pokercoaching.com. Yes, indeed. You can get a free 1-week trial there. We have lots of quizzes, lots of homework. We have the inner circle there where we have office hours. Check it out. Pokercoaching.com. I also have JonathanLittlePoker.com. There we have lots of podcast episodes. We have tons and tons of podcast episodes. We also have, where I go through hands, called the Weekly Poker Hand Podcast. And I have this show, A Little Coffee. And I also have a lot of blog posts there. Every week I post a blog post about something strategy related for the most part, or a travel vlog. Everyone's saying they love poker coaching. Good. I'm glad. It's a lot of work. We just had a little hiccup with one of our partners. It's going to make it even a lot more work for me. But that's A-okay. When are we getting a separate channel for Mr. James? You have to understand, Mr. James can't sit still and do anything yet. As soon as Mr. James can sit still and be a good boy for like 20 minutes, then he'll get his own channel. We're patiently waiting for that day. I think it's probably going to be another year or two. He is running around all the time, happy as can be, and he's good. Webinar with Alex Fitzgerald last night was great. Thanks for setting up. Well, thanks Alex for setting that up. He did that just for my email followers. If you're not on my email list, by the way, you're missing out. We do all sorts of free stuff for everyone. We had a free webinar with Alex Fitzgerald last night. And, just for the email subscribers. Want to help out my followers. And I try to provide as much value as I realistically can. Other things you can do while traveling to mess yourself up. Perhaps the number one thing, in my mind, is that you can stay up late and you can party. Now, I know staying up late and partying is a lot of fun for a lot of people, but I think it is a bad idea whenever you are traveling. What's a good ROI in tournaments? It depends on your games and your buy-in levels, right? ROI goes down as field size goes down very often. ROI goes down as skill level goes up. So it depends, right? If I was to be playing a $500, like a WPT 500, I'd expect a huge ROI, like 200%. If I'm playing 25K with no satellite qualifiers, like 10%, right? So it depends on the situation. All right, let's see. Are you still running Float the Turn? Monsa, you must not be on my email list. We just combined Float the Turn with pokercoaching.com. Can we have the Fed stop raising rates? No. I'm not in charge of the Federal Reserve, the bank that runs all the American money. I'm not in charge of them. All right. Define late. Okay. I'll tell you my schedule. I make a point to get to sleep before about midnight every night. It's very important. Last night I was asleep at 11. Now that I'm doing a little coffee, I'm trying to get to bed a little bit earlier as well, because I know I need to be up at about 8:30 to do the show. So, because of that means I can't go out and party too much. I will occasionally, and especially if I have an off day the next day, I make a point to try to go out and be social. But if I have a big tournament the next day, like I have a $25,000 tournament in 2 hours, I'm not going to go out and party all night the day before. I have done that in the past. It was dumb. And I'm trying to not be dumb. You always want to ask, would my future self think this is a bad decision? If I wake up and I can't get out of my bed and there's a $25,000 tournament happening, it's probably a bad idea to go do whatever I'm going to do to butcher myself. So, anyway, don't go out, don't go party, don't drink too much, don't do drugs, don't do all the things that will inebriate you the next day. Obviously, don't do these things while you're playing, if at all possible. So yeah, what do I do on off days? Ideally, you don't get off days because you're busy playing poker tournaments. But if you do have off days, like there's a decent chance I get off days here in Baja Mar, because there is a 5K that has 3-day ones. If you make it through the first one, then you kind of have 2 days off. And whenever you have those 2 days off, you can kind of do whatever you want. I try to make a point to get in the gym on my off days, because I may not get into it on other days, because in my mind, sleep is the most important thing. Again, it goes back to priorities, right? Some people prioritize gym, some people prioritize sleep, some people prioritize comfort, some people prioritize getting a breakfast, whatever. I prioritize sleep. Sleep is above everything for me. I try to sleep the maximum. You all are kind of throwing a wrench in that because I do a little coffee, but sleep is very, 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 very important. How to do in Montreal. I took 8th place. I have a video blog on it. Go to jonathanlowepoker.com/blog and you can watch it. You do not see anyone else doing these. Well, no one else is dedicated. No one else cares as much as I do. I do my best. How's my neck? My neck is fine. Not as good as I'd hope it would be. I got shots in my neck the other day. It's fine. Kind of disappointed with the result, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, going back to what I do on off days. I typically take care of business. I have a lot going on in terms of working with you all. I get tons and tons of emails from you each day. I know I don't reply to all of them every day, but I do reply to all of them eventually. And in the off days, I will very often just work on that. That takes 3 or 4 or 5 hours. Usually I'll have some kind of work I can do, like making weekly poker hand videos, for example. And if I'm here in the Bahamas, I'm going to get out and I'm going to go to the resort, right? They have a beach right outside. It's very nice. I'm going to go out to have a nice dinner. I like doing that. I like not being rushed so much. I'm usually going to watch poker videos and study. So that's what I do on my off days. My off days are work days. I don't really get off days. So that goes back to what percentage of my play now is cash game versus tournaments. And whenever I travel to play tournaments now, it's almost entirely tournaments. In the past, it would not be, though. The advent of re-entry tournaments has made that happen. Because now, if you bust a tournament after like 4 hours, you can re-enter. Whereas in the past, if you busted after 4 hours, you had nothing to do for the rest of the day. So if you have nothing to do for the rest of the day, then you play cash games. So I used to play cash games until about midnight each night. If I busted before about 9 p.m., I would play cash games. If I busted after 9 p.m., I would just be done for the day. So that's what I did in the past. But now, with re-entry tournaments, there are a lot of them available. And given there are a lot of them available, you just don't need to play cash games anymore. You like the idea of free rolling from profits of cash games. Well, I know I started with $50, and believe it or not, I have more than $50 now. So I'm always free rolling. I'm free rolling for life. So I'm not really thinking like that. I don't really like that mindset in general, D. Nelson, because what if you don't free roll from cash games? What if you play cash games and you get slaughtered? Say you bring $5,000 to play 2 $1,000 tournaments. You play cash games with the other $3,000 and you lose $3,000. Maybe it will not happen. Maybe it will happen. But if you play enough, it will happen eventually. Then, what are you going to do? You're going to be pissed and angry and sad, or are you going to be able to play your best poker? A lot of people can't play their best poker. So I purposefully do not do anything the day before a tournament, before a big tournament, that may screw up my mindset. So, for example, I'm trying to think what I could do to screw up my mindset. I'm trying to think, because, like, in general, okay, here's something you can do to screw up your mindset. Let's say there's a $25,000 tournament this morning, right? And then let's say there's a satellite to get into it that starts at 10 a.m. that you could do. You could play if you wanted to. I would virtually never play that game, even unless there's some huge overlay. Because if you bubble it, or if you bust in it, in some weird fashion, you're just going to have a bad mindset. You woke up, you're ready to go, you've already bubbled a tournament, you had a lot of chits, now you have none, now you got to start over again. No, we don't need that in our lives. Some people, and me in the past, not so much in the future because I have my mindset under control, but in the past I would be annoyed from the day before. Like, say I played all day on Sunday online and I just busted all the tournaments. I would be so bummed, so down, and maybe I would not play the best the next day. So mindset is a thing. Someone asked earlier, have I played around with Primed Mind, which is Elliot Rowe's app. I've been working with Elliot Rowe for a very long time. I have custom-made MP3s on my phone that he made specifically for me, and I use those, not all the time, but sporadically. But I have downloaded Primed Mind, but I have not used it because I have custom-made materials. Have I ever played in Bobby's room? I have not. D. Nelson says, it can mess up the whole trip if you lose at cash games. Yeah, well, it's a mindset thing, right? Do I keep in touch with the old Sit and Go crew? I do not. I haven't seen any of them in quite a while. It's funny how if you don't see people for like 10 years, I don't even know if I can remember what they look like. It's so funny. What's my honest take on re-entry tournaments? I've said it many times. Personally, think they're a terrible concept for recreational players. Plus, it makes every tournament, even the local ones, end very late. Well, ending very late should be fine. But they are bad for recreational players because the good players get to re-enter with a positive ROI every time they enter. That's essentially it. That said, I thought they would have died a long time ago, and they have not died. So given they have not died, I was wrong. I underestimated the ability for people to come up with money to gamble. Like in Montreal, for example, I think you could buy in 8 times if you wanted to. Now, I don't know if anyone bought in 8 times, but some people did. I'm sure some people did out there. And it's $40,000. Where did someone come up with $40,000 to play tournaments? And I mean, I don't know. Some people are. I mean, I had partitioned 30K to play, so I was ready for 6, no problem. So I was surprised that people have not ran out of money yet, but you see, people keep coming up with money. Fields are big, so there's more money out there than I thought was out there. What poker videos do I watch? I watch videos by the Pokar Backing Group. I'm one of their advisors, and that gives me access to their videos. Do you think it's particularly bad to be playing various forms of No Limit Hold'em? I guess you're referring to satellites, sit and goes, etc. Or is it better to specialize in one? You should specialize in one until you're very good at that one and you are grinding out significant money from that one. What do you think about traveling to play in Asia? Go for it. I don't know. I've never played in Asia. I have no experience. I don't really have much of a desire to travel a long way away. Again, sleep is my main priority. I know I'm awful when I'm on the wrong sleep schedule, and it's not worth it for me to be 12 hours off my sleep schedule. I've done it a few times, and it's just not gone well. I haven't had fun. Whenever I'm off my sleep schedule, I'm just not happy. And being happy is a big priority to me. In local tournaments, the people who are rebuying are not necessarily the best players. Well, that's perfect. That's what you want if you're a good player. What's my biggest one-day winning in cash games? I think it's 80K. I don't really know, though. I know I used to have big swings online. I never really thought about it. Like, I didn't look at my account. A lot of people, like, constantly sweating their account. Am I up or am I down? Am I up or am I down? I got over that after a year or two, and I just tried to play in plus EV spots. So maybe I had bigger swings online. I don't really know. What percentage of cash in tournaments do I play? Probably at this point, like 85% tournaments, 15% cash. Somebody made it to my morning coffee. Welcome. Well, we're about to end. Let's see. That's an assumption. Not everyone is backed. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Have I ever thought expanding the Float the Turn app? Yes, but Nick, you have to understand, I have a million things going on, and I have to do the things that I think are most valuable immediately. And expanding the app is good. It is very valuable. We actually have a list of about 20 improvements we want to make to it. we've actually had an issue where we've had an issue with the app, let's just say that. And I've had to essentially remake it. It's being remade at the moment. And once it's remade, we'll be able to more easily add on things like bankroll trackers, push fold, or like reshove math, etc., etc. What's my biggest one-day loss in cash games? I never had a big one-day loss in... I guess I have. I think I lost 20K live one time. That's not even that big, really. I'm sure I've had a bigger day online because I used to play 200, 400 PLO. So I'm sure I've had a bigger day online, but again, I didn't really keep track of it. I mean, I kept track of it, but I didn't... I don't know. It wasn't a memorable event. When players are back, do they sign contracts? Some people do, some people don't. How about do some yoga for your neck? I don't think yoga is actually good for your neck, is it? I mean, you can stretch your neck. Obviously, I can stretch my neck. Is that necessarily yoga? Have I considered relocating out of New York City? No. My wife lives in New York City. My wife is way more important than I am. So my wife is a lawyer at a law firm, and she has an important job. And I, to some extent, can live wherever I want. And really, really important concept most people don't get. I do not play poker because I have nothing to do. Or because I want to sit there and play poker. Right? A lot of people play poker because they're trying to pass the time, because they're trying to make a little bit of money, and all these things. I don't really need to make a little bit of money because I bring such value to all of you. And I don't play poker to pass the time. I have literally no time at the moment because I'm busy. And, it's okay. Do we suggest the World Series of Poker for low-limit people buying into $350 tournaments? Sure, if you're properly bankrolled, just realize there's going to be a lot of variants. When did you realize you were mass efficient, couldn't beat the game, so I had to scam idiots? What a nice person. How do we block them? Report. Abusive. Don't be abusive. Also, people aren't idiots. It's very important to realize that just because someone's work does not resonate with you, vitally important. Another concept that most people don't quite understand. Just because... Yeah, says the 25 no limit player. Just because someone's work does not resonate with you does not mean that it is bad work. A lot of people think that because people are spending their money on something, that it must be... Let's say, for example, I am a politician and I want to build a bridge. Because I know that everyone in my area needs a bridge to go to the other area, right? They need a bridge. They don't want to drive all the way around. They need a bridge. And I decide I'm going to spend people's money in my area to build a bridge. But what if I'm in that area and I don't really need to go across the bridge? I may be pissed, right? Because now you're spending my money to build a bridge that I'm never going to use. And I may think that you're an idiot for spending my money on a bridge I'm never going to use. But it's not necessarily for you. There's been this podcast recently. I've been hating on my content because some of it is very clear, right? Don't play in games you can't beat, right? And then they'll say something like, oh, this is obvious content. Why do people need this? You have to understand that a lot of people, they like hearing things like that reiterated. And, if you already know this, if it's definitely ingrained, if it's like clearly ingrained in your brain, it's not for you. All content is not going to be for you. And that's okay, It's okay. But people get angry, people like to fight. And if you're a fighter in a negative way, realize that you're a loser and you're going to fail. Most people who are in the fighting mode, they're trying to cause drama. They are trying to tear down the poker community and whatever community they're involved in. And I'm trying to build up the community. Some people don't like that. Some people like tearing it down. They think you must be always trying to bring down everyone. Whereas I view it differently. I'm always trying to bring up everyone. All right, Instagram says I have to end in 25 seconds. I have a lot more to say about that, but I guess we have to be done. Enjoy your day. Good luck. Thanks all for being here. We'll be here again tomorrow, assuming I am still alive and sane. I probably will be.